Rome was glowing that night, but Yaman wasn't. While the city hummed with life, tourists laughing in narrow streets, cameras clicking around every ancient corner, lights shimmering on the Tiber, there was something unusually heavy in his eyes. Anyone who saw him that evening could sense it. Something was pulling him inward, forcing him to confront memories he had tried to bury for years. What no one knew was that everything started with a single whisper. Not from a journalist. Not from a co-star. Not from a fan. But from his mother. Hours before he stepped out into the Roman night, Ken had been sitting alone in his apartment near Trastevere, going through the usual routine after a long day of filming. He wasn't expecting anything extraordinary. But then his phone vibrated, once, softly, almost like a warning. It was a voice note. From her. He hesitated before pressing play, feeling an odd chill running down his spine. His mother rarely sent voice recordings unless something was truly important. And the moment he heard her trembling breath, he knew this wasn't just another casual message. Ken, we need to talk. You can't run from this anymore. That was it. Just one whisper. But those words cracked open a piece of him he had tried to seal forever. He replayed the message again, and again, and again. By the third time, he couldn't sit still. Memories rushed back. Memories tied to a moment he had sworn he would never speak about publicly. A moment that shaped not only his career, but the way he loved, trusted, and protected the people closest to him. He grabbed his jacket and walked out. The Roman air hit him like a wave, humid, warm, almost suffocating. He wandered with no direction, letting his feet guide him through streets that were both familiar and painful. Fans spotted him here and there, whispering his name, but he barely noticed them. He wasn't Ken the star that night. He wasn't the actor admired across continents. He was simply a son, shaken by something only he and his mother knew. He ended up at the small bridge near Ponte Sisto, the one he always visited when he needed to clear his mind. The bridge where he once had a conversation that changed everything. The bridge where someone once told him, one day, this secret will catch you. And now, it finally had. Standing under the dim light, he replayed his mother's message once more. He felt her fear, her urgency, as if she knew time was running out. As if she sensed that the truth, the one he fought so hard to keep hidden, was close to breaking free. He leaned on the stone railing, staring at the river below, and whispered to himself, why now? Why after all these years? But deep down, he already knew the answer. The timing wasn't random. The past was no longer staying in the past. Someone, somewhere, had opened a door he thought was sealed forever. And his mother's whisper wasn't just a warning. It was a beginning. A beginning of truths, confessions, and revelations that would follow him long after that Roman night, all the way to the interview where, for the first time ever, he finally spoke, and admitted the secret he hid for years. The morning after that haunting night in Rome felt strangely quiet, too quiet. Even for a city that wakes up slowly, there was something unsettling in the air. Ken barely slept. He kept turning, replaying his mother's whisper in his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, her trembling voice echoed again, you can't run from this anymore. But what exactly did she mean? And why now? As sunlight crept into his apartment, he pulled himself up from the bed, rubbing the exhaustion from his face. His phone was filled with notifications. Messages from his manager, missed calls from producers, even a few texts from friends asking if he was okay. They had seen him wandering the city with that distant look. They knew something was off. But Ken wasn't ready to talk. Not yet. He went to the kitchen, made a coffee, but didn't drink it. He was staring at the cup without actually seeing it. His chest felt tight, the same pressure he always felt whenever the past pushed its way back into his life. Then, his phone vibrated again. Another message from his mother. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a sentence that hit him like a punch, they're asking about her again. His blood ran cold. Her. The one name no one ever said out loud. The one connection he had spent years protecting, not just from the media, but from the world. He walked to the window, pulling the curtains aside. Rome looked peaceful, calm, almost frozen in time. But inside him, a storm was building. He typed a reply, then deleted it. Typed another. Deleted it again. What could he possibly say? I know? I'm ready? I can't do this? All of them felt wrong. He needed answers. He needed clarity. He needed to understand why this was resurfacing now. So he did the one thing he hadn't done in months, he called her. His mother answered instantly, as if she had been staring at the phone the whole time. Her voice was soft, fragile, almost trembling. "Can, listen to me." Someone reached out to the family. They're asking questions. Deep questions. And they won't stop. He felt his throat tighten. Who? A journalist, she whispered. Someone who knows too much. Someone who knows about that night. Silence. Ken closed his eyes, pressing his fingers against the bridge of his nose. That night. The moment everything changed. The moment he had sworn to his mother, and to himself, that he would carry the truth alone. Do they know about her? He asked, barely breathing. I think they suspect, she answered. And if they suspect, they'll dig. He felt a wave of panic rising inside him. He had handled rumors before. Misunderstandings. Headlines twisting his words. But this? This wasn't a scandal. This wasn't gossip. This was personal. This was a piece of his life he never wanted exposed, not because it was shameful, but because it was fragile. Sacred. Painful. His mother continued, Ken, maybe it's time. Maybe hiding it for so long has done more harm than good. He shook his head even though she couldn't see him. No. Once I say it, it becomes theirs. The world's. And they won't understand. Maybe they will, she said gently. Maybe they need to hear it from you. Not from someone who wants to twist it. Her words cut deeper than she knew. Because deep down, buried beneath years of denial and fear, he had always known this moment would come. The moment he would have to decide between silence and truth. And that moment was now. As he hung up the phone, he looked at his reflection in the window, not the celebrity, not the actor, not the public figure, but the man who had held on to a secret for far too long. A secret tied to Rome. A secret tied to a woman. A secret tied to a night that changed everything. And for the first time, he felt the weight of that truth starting to break free. The cafe suddenly felt too small for the thoughts crashing inside his mind. Kim pushed his chair back, stepped outside, and let the Roman air hit him. The sun was higher now, the streets busier, but somehow he never felt more alone. He walked with purpose this time, not to escape, but to confront. His manager had insisted on a meeting, and he knew delaying it would only make things worse. He arrived at the agency office, climbed the stairs two at a time, and opened the door without knocking. His manager, Luca, looked up instantly, eyes tense, jaw locked. Ken. We have a problem, he said. I know, Ken replied quietly, closing the door behind him. Tell me everything. Luca slid a folder across the desk. Inside were printed screenshots, emails, and notes, all pointing to one thing, a journalist determined to dig into a chapter of Ken's life he had fought desperately to hide. They mentioned a woman, Luca said, watching him carefully. Someone you knew years ago. Someone tied to Rome. They believe she's the reason behind your sudden disappearance back then. Ken felt his throat tighten. Her name? They don't have it. Yet. Luca leaned forward. But if we stay silent, they'll find her. And when they do, they'll create their own story. He hated how true that was. Journalists didn't search for truth. They searched for what sells. What do they really want? Ken asked. A statement, Something from you. They said they're giving you a fair chance to speak before they publish. Luca exhaled. Which means they already think they know the truth. But they didn't. Not the real truth. Not the painful, human truth that he had carried all these years. He looked out the window, watching cars move along the street. His mind drifted back to that night, the one he had never spoken about. The night his life changed, not because of fame, not because of a role, but because of a choice. A choice he made for her. And one he never regretted, even though it cost him everything. Can, Luca said gently, I think you should tell your side. This isn't about image. This is about peace. Peace. It felt like a foreign word. I don't know if telling the world is the right thing, Ken whispered. It's not just my story. Then tell the part that is yours, Luca replied. Before someone else destroys it. Ken closed the folder, took a deep breath, and made a decision he knew he couldn't take back. I'll do an interview, he said. Luca blinked. Are you sure? He nodded. Yes. But it has to be with someone I trust. Someone who won't twist my words. Luca stood up, extending a hand. Then I'll arrange it. As Ken left the office, the weight on his chest felt different, not lighter, not heavier, but settled. For years he ran from this truth. But now? Now he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, control. The world might not understand. The media might twist it. People might judge him. But the truth, his truth, was finally going to be heard. And Rome, the city that once held his deepest secret, was about to witness its revelation. The interview was scheduled for the next evening, a discreet, private setup in a quiet Roman studio. No audience. No chaos. Just one camera, one interviewer, and a truth that had waited years to surface. Ken spent the entire day in silence. No phone. No visitors. No distractions. Only the memories he had buried so carefully, rising again like waves he could no longer hold back. When he finally arrived at the studio, the air was cold, the lights dim, and the atmosphere painfully still. He sat down, adjusting the microphone clip to his shirt. Across from him was Sophia, a journalist known not for gossip, but for honesty. That was why he chose her. She smiled gently. Ready? He wasn't. But he nodded anyway. The camera blinked on. Sophia began softly, Ken, you asked for this interview. You said there is something you want to address before rumors spiral. What is it you want to say? He inhaled deeply, the kind of breath someone takes before jumping into cold water. For years, he began, there has been a part of my life I never talked about. Not because I wanted to hide something, but because I wanted to protect someone. Sophia stayed silent, giving him space. There was a woman, he continued. Before all of this. Before fame took over my life. She wasn't from the industry. She hated the spotlight. She wanted a normal life. Something I couldn't give her. His voice softened. We met in Rome. We loved quietly. And we ended quietly. But something happened one night, something that forced us to make a choice no one should ever have to make. Sophia leaned in slightly. What happened, Ken? He swallowed hard. That night, she asked me to promise her something. To protect her future. To protect her family. To protect her name. No matter what it cost me. Did you? Sophia asked. Yes, he whispered. I did. And I've kept that promise all these years. The room fell silent for a moment. Then Sophia spoke again. And now someone is digging into that story. He nodded. They know pieces of it. Dangerous pieces. Pieces that could hurt her if the world twists them. So you're here to tell the truth? I'm here, he said steadily, to tell my part of it. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from release. The truth is, I didn't disappear because of scandals or pressure. I walked away from everything for a while because I couldn't risk exposing her. I made choices that broke me. Choices that cost me love, opportunities, maybe even my future. His eyes glistened. But I don't regret it. Not for a second. Sophia whispered, "Why now, Can? Why tell us now?" He exhaled slowly. "Because someone is trying to use our past against us. And I won't let them. I'd rather the world hear it from me, the truth, not the version they want to sell." He leaned back, eyes heavy but peaceful. "And because, my mother was right. You can't run forever. And maybe, just maybe, telling this truth will finally let me breathe." The camera stayed on him for a moment longer, capturing not the celebrity, not the icon, but the man who had carried a secret like a wound. Sophia ended softly, "Is there anything you want to say to her, if she hears this?" Ken hesitated, then gave a faint, heartbreaking smile. "Yes." He looked directly into the lens, his voice barely above a whisper, "Thank you, for everything we lived. I kept my promise. And I always will." The camera blinked off. And the secret he had protected for years was no longer a burden. It was finally his truth.